Hi. Okay, so today I'm making a story time in which you can watch about a thing that happened, and I told this story about 8 months ago. Yeah, that's a really long time ago, and you would have thought my production quality would have improved by now, but nope. I also filmed this video last week, but my camera thought, let's just delete that. So yeah, that happened. I don't know how it happened, and when YouTubers say, oh yeah, my camera just deleted all of my footage, therefore there's not going to be a video, I just thought that was an excuse for them being lazy, but no, it actually happened, so there you go. Disclaimer number 2, my hair's up because I haven't washed it or straightened it or done anything to it, and I know I have pointed ears. Yes, I get it, you don't need to comment. Thirdly, I know I have horrible fake tan on my hands and it's gross and it's disgusting, and I also know that I also use my hands as a substitute for paper. You don't need to point it out. Camera deleted a bunch of footage. If I just randomly switch locations halfway through this video, that's why. Sorry it's a mess. Subscribe for 10 years, good luck. Anyway, this is a great story. However, I told it horribly and I left out so many really important details. Because, like, I didn't really know how to tell a story back then. I mean, I still don't know how to form a sentence, but anyway. And I left out a bunch of incidents that happened which are really cool, etc, 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 yeah. And then, if you've already seen that video and you're thinking, I don't need to see this, you do. You can skip to like the end or something where I talk about some incidences that occurred after this that I didn't include because I don't know the future. This incident was the epitome of traumatic. So I went skiing in Austria last February because, well, like, skiing is fun. Despite the cold, the expenses, and the literal threat of death. It's a great time. So when I went skiing, I decided to join this thing called ski school, which is essentially a bunch of old people, a bunch of kids, and like an instructor who teaches you how to be a better skier and not die, even though it didn't actually really work. Yeah. So I wasn't with any family or anything. It was literally just me and a bunch of random strangers. Great idea. No, it wasn't, since I don't even know how to use an oven and I'm scared of the dark. Great example of a responsible human. Days 1 to 4 were fine. However, the day where the incident occurred, I noticed something was very wrong and I didn't do anything about it. I was skiing like relatively fast, just going down like an easy slope, when all of a sudden I fell. Like, it wasn't a big fall, I just stood up, brushed myself off, you know. However, I noticed that my skis didn't detach from my boots. And if you've skied and you fall, you know your skis detach from your boots so your legs don't break in half. And you know, because me, I just thought, let's continue being dangerous, because I was over like cocky and overconfident in my abilities at that moment in time, which honestly makes a first. But then later that day I had a second fall. Again, not that serious, bruise on my vagina from when my inhaler was in my pocket and like crushed it, but apart from that it was fine. Brushed myself off, stood up. However, the skis didn't come off yet again, and yet again I thought, it's fine. Look what you did to yourself, Kiera, you dumb bitch. So later that day, I went on my first black run. And black runs are pretty much like the hardest, most likely to die, everyone decapitates himself here kind of run. You know, everything that appeals to humans. So I went down it and it went successfully. However, I thought, let's do this a second time. Let's just push my luck. And guess what? I succeeded once again. You thought I was going to fall, didn't you? Wink. Not yet, bitch. I'm sorry. So this black slope led on to a blue slope, and so it went from really difficult to really easy, and once I got onto the easy one I was like, let's go as fast as possible, when all of a sudden someone came in front of me. I went over the back of their skis and I fell. And you may be thinking, hey Kiera, third time's lucky, right? No. This, again, wasn't a big fall. I didn't fall far, but I rolled with the impact of the fall. And, again, my skis was like, hey, Kiera, I'm just not going to detach and save your life. No, they didn't. So my ski got stuck in the snow over here, and, trigger warning, not kidding, triggered. So my ski got stuck in the snow over here, but my body rolled this way. And you can imagine what happened inside my knee. Yeah. And I heard the most horrendous pop. It was horrible. I wanted death in that moment. My life was over, take my unborn child, and I don't know where I'm going with that. I reach over and clip my boot out of my ski and panic. The ski instructor comes over to me and she's like, oh, are you okay? Are you sure you can't get up and like ski back to the ski lift? And I kind of looked at her like, hey, do I look okay? Do I look... No! And so she was like, do you want me to call an ambulance? And I was kind of thinking, how's an ambulance going to get on a mountain? When all of a sudden, this little snowmobile drives by. Yeah, a little snowmobile with a siren drives by and comes and collects me. And I got on the back of it as some man. And in this moment, I was just sitting on the back of this snowmobile going about 100 miles an hour for a solid minute, clinging on for dear life onto the back of some random Austrian man who spoke very little English. This cost €200. I wanted to scream at someone, but I wouldn't because I'm a respectable young woman. So they get me a wheelchair, put me on a ski lift and send me to the bottom of the mountain. And my dad was like, okay, I'm going to take your skis back to the rental place because you're obviously not going to ski anymore. And I go, well, like, I might be okay. Like, bitch, you thought? Dumb literal hoe. Because in my mind I thought, I've just, like, dislocated my knee or something. Because that's what it sounded like. I heard a pop and that's what I assumed, like, dislocating something felt like, you know? So we go to hospital, and after a very long wait indeed, full of criticising how gross England hospitals are after seeing this A+ Austrian service, I get called in for my x-ray. Now, bear in mind, ski clothes are relatively thick. I get called in for my x-ray, and bear in mind, ski clothes are relatively thick, so you can't exactly x-ray through them. And so this woman wheels me into the x-ray room, and she looks at me and she goes, take off trouser. And I kind of think, it takes me a minute to like register what she's saying, because they have really thick Austrian accents, and they're talking in German or Austrian, I don't know. Educated. And by the time it registered in my mind what she said, she'd already left the room to go and do a doctor-y thing, I guess. So I think, well, my leg's like a little bit like, you know, disgusting right now. How does she want me to take this off? Because I don't know, usually when you're having an x-ray, you're having an x-ray for a reason. And she just didn't think to try and help me at all. Okay. I mean, I appreciate her service and everything, but she just wheeled me into the room and walked out. So she comes back in the room, realises she hasn't progressed at all, and then decides, okay, I'll help you. And I was very grateful, and she helped me get onto the big table. So they x-rayed it, and I didn't really understand what was happening, and I left the room. When I get called into the consultant's room to be consulted about what just happened, I sit on the table, I yet again get asked to remove my trouser. I don't know. I decide to ask, hey, is it bad? And this woman says the worst thing she could have ever said to me in this moment. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. What kind of healthcare is this? This is an abomination. And I was a child. How did you think my overreacting hypochondriac, severe crippling anxiety brain was going to take this? Not very well. So I nearly lost my composure, but I didn't quite, when all of a sudden they started talking about like really invasive, scary like surgery stuff, and I was kind of like, oh please not, no child, please. When they just say, okay, well you're going home in like 2 days, so we're gonna put a big cast on you and then you're going to leave and go home. And before I left to get the cast put on, they said that I'm gonna need these injections, and that what they basically do is they thin out your blood, so you use them if you're like staying still for a very long time. I'm pretty sure people in wheelchairs have to have them because of the air pressure on a plane with a cast. It can cause your blood to clot, and blood clots are bad because then you die most of the time. So it thins out your blood so your blood doesn't clot pretty much, and you're supposed to put it in a really fatty part of your body, you know, like really fatty part. And I get it, like I don't have any fat, like say 0, I'm kidding. But I've just been skiing, and one thing about me is if I actually try, I can tone up my body really quickly. Like I'm quite lucky in that way. And I've been skiing like 8 hours a day for about 5 days. Of course I was feeling quite muscular and hench and toned out at this very point. My stomach at this time, not now, my stomach was very flat and very muscular, and you're supposed to put this into a fatty part of your body. I don't know, use my thighs, use my fat hips, I don't know. Don't use the one place that's probably the least fatty, the most muscular. And she just grabs this needle and just shoves it into my stomach with no excess fat, and that hurt more than breaking the leg. She just took the wheel of my wheelchair in this moment. I wasn't happy. So then after that trauma, I get wheeled into the cast room. And when you think cast, you think, you know, just like a little thing, you know, I don't know. I don't know how they thought they'd fix my knee. I don't know. But no, they put a full leg cast on my whole leg. I'll insert pictures of all of this. But yeah, you can imagine, wasn't very happy. And while they were doing this, I finally lost it. I was on my own, there was no one with me. I was laying on this table, I was crying. I don't cry in front of other people, ever. There's like probably one person who sees me cry. One whole world. And hormonal crying does not count as crying, by the way. Meanwhile, these two Austrian men were just standing over me, wrapping things around my leg, laughing with each other. Meanwhile, I'm laying underneath them, crying. That sounds disturbing. Not like that. They were just like joking with each other. Like, I don't know. So they put me in a wheelchair. They make me leave. It was traumatic, and no one even attempted to try and make me feel better. And also, what was also very off-putting is going into the classroom, there was a woman there laying on a bed just screaming, and I thought, oh Lord. So I spent a day in Austria, you know, feeling sorry for myself, rotting in my own dirt, holding in my feces, not having the ability to stand. And then the next day I went home on a plane with a very rough landing, which hurt a lot. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. 6 months later, this is going to cut into a new clip, which wasn't deleted. Future Kiera says goodbye. Having a broken leg wasn't fun. It still actually isn't fun. It's a year later, I'm still kind of struggling a little bit. Do you want to see how much I can bend my leg? Shall I show you? At some point, I could only bend my leg. Okay, wait. That much. That much. That's crazy. But now, I can get it all the way to here. Are you proud? You should be proud. It's still like a bit swollen, but I'll get over it, you know? I ended up missing about 5 or 6 months of school. Yes, horrific, but honestly, I managed to catch up with it all, which I don't know how I even did that. I had some really important exams that I had to do during the 5 months of school that I missed. So nearer to the end of where like we left school for summer, I had to come back for a few days to do some exams. Now, I was walking around school on my crutches, kind of having some more mobility back than I did, but I still couldn't completely walk for like 5 months. Like, I wasn't even putting any weight on it at all for 5 months. And I was just walking around school, and there was this like little hill by my school. I was with some friends, and all of a sudden, once again, Kiera got overconfident and thought that it would be fun to start running on crutches with one. I fell, didn't I? I bloody fell. I don't even know like how that was more painful than the break. Like, that was more painful than the actual accident. And I laid in bed and I cried and probably overdosed on paracetamol. Yeah, that was it, I guess. So in case you were actually interested, which you probably weren't, like what I actually did to it, I didn't just break my leg. I did something to my knee where, because my body twisted far away from my body while my leg was going somewhere else, hold on, I need a drink. It ripped 2 out of the 4 ligaments in my knee from the bone, which then also pulled bone off of this bone with them, so they came like that and pulled big lumps of bone away, which then fractured my knee. I'll insert some pictures. If I can find some, I probably won't. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, I guess. This has been fun, retelling the first story I ever told on YouTube. Crazy how long ago that was, and thank you for 100,000 subscribers. That's insane. Let me know what you want me to do to celebrate. I have some really exciting things coming soon, you know, you'll enjoy. I appreciate you a lot, thanks for being around. I'm not about to get soppy now after saying this long normal yeah, follow me on all my social media if you haven't already. It's really fun over there, and I do really cool stuff and I interact with you all the time. It's kind of easy to talk to me, I don't know, I think. Yeah, I'll see you soon. Yep, bye.